So out in Sloth Industries, we're trying to get the VL to turn. First up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the car up, mow some lawn, get rid of the grass around there. Has to be done. Only 2 weeks in the Northern Territory and you got to mow your lawn in wet season because it rains every day. Then we've got a brand new power steering rack, brand new tie rods to go in. I don't have any of the old stuff, car didn't come with it, so we're going to have to guess on tie rod, measurements where it goes. I'll just get it so the car can steer, go and get a wheel alignment later on and I'll fix it. But yeah, we'll get it checked up and we'll get it happening. .36-volt lawnmower. I know a lot of people will say, I'm a blouse for using one, but when you don't have to rebuild a carburetor every time the season changes, every time wet season comes along, it's a good thing. I call that definite win. I'd take this thing over, I had a petrol Honda that cost me, would have been over $1,000, and every wet season when I went to use it, because I only mow once in a while, you can tell I'm not a gardener, I have to rebuild the carby on the piece of crap. So 36-volt Makita, good job. Good work. They work good. I'll swap you over and we'll have a look at the car. Alright, this is what we're working with. This is our current steering. As you can see, a bit of wood was, if I can see it, was bolted in right there, and it's torn out, so obviously not connected up to the steering wheel, but it allowed the car to at least be shifted. There's our power steering lines just sitting there. Obviously no power steering fluid left because that's all gone. Now we'll have a look for our steering rack, which I'm pretty sure I left in here. There we go. So one brand new steering rack. Put it in the shade over here, we'll assemble it in the shade and then we'll put it in the car. Steering rack. We need bolts. Bolts are not there. Like I said last video, that's our VT brakes. As you can see, the brakes are also, lighting's a bit crap today, brakes are also hanging off down there. So we'll see if we can slot them back on and get some brakes working too. So I'll just go get the tie rod ends and the keys for the car. Got some parts here, new steering rack, new tie rod ends, got the book, obviously, make it dirty so it seems like I've read it all. Found some bolts in the boot and steering linkage that I reckon that'll be what we need to use. These tie rod ends, I won't say the brand name because I don't want YouTube to ban me, but you can work it out. Sometimes you just need a good bit of yep, right, get her up, yeah, yep, just that. Right, got some basic tools. Everyone should have these at home. And then yeah, I'm gonna have a quick flick through the book and see at least which way everything's supposed to face, and we'll get that steering rack bolted in and dummy up the tie rod ends, make it straight. As you can see, it's not the most helpful book, but I can at least tell that the tie rod ends go from the top down and which way the steering rack faces. So the rest will wing. Right. Let's give it a go. Right, steering rack's going in. Help me understand. Just kidding, that's my script garage. Yay. Couple of hugger duggers. About that many will do. Right, that is in. Now I'm going to attempt to put the lines on, which are up in here. Not really a good camera angle I can get to, unfortunately, so I'll just struggle along with them and put you on time lapse, I suppose. Whoever designed this needs a swift kick in the teeth. Right, that's the steering rack bolted up. I'll show you up in there. Oh, can't really see. Anyway, some power steering lines. Don't look at my nose. So power steering lines are done up, steering rack's in. I'm going to try and get the steering linkage in now, which is just here. So we're going to connect this to that. So you can just see up in here those power steering lines I had to do up. probably easier to do them up before you bolt the rack in future. So now I just got a linkage to go in between there and there, and then we'll get on to trying to do the tie rod ends. Back in a sec. This isn't big enough to go over the steering rack, so I'm just going to see if I can open her up a little bit and give it a little bit of love and see if it goes in. Use the old custom hammer for that trick. Whackometer. Okay. Now let's see if we can get this side in. Probably not. Oh man. Alright. I'm gonna have to go up top and see if I can drop the column down to give me some more movement, and I'll be able to move the steering shaft back then to then lower it into the clamp, and then we'll get it installed. So I'll be back in a second. Right, I'm just going to give it a go. Drop this out and see if there's hopefully 2 bolts up here I can drop the steering column out. There's probably a lot easier and a faster way. I just don't know it. Like I said, spray paint, I'm not a mechanic. Also, this is the last time I'm working on the car on the grass, so this is just to get it steering. We'll have to work something out with the brakes, whether I can just slot the old ones back on for now, just so we can put some fluid in and get some sort of brake, and then I'm going to move it under the carport, so you know I don't get covered in this all the time. We'll see how this goes. Right screw, not the right screw at all. Move it slightly, see if that's enough. Hindsight, just clicked in. I'm a slow learner. Probably should have put the steering shaft in and the coupler on before I bolted the steering rack on. Do as I say, not as I do, and we'll be fine. Hopefully this works. We'll have a look now. Let's go in. Aha. That is a win. All day. Right, I'm just going to loosely put these bolts in, and then I'll go back up top and bolt that steering wheel back in, just so we know it definitely works. Right, I'm back. I put the steering column back in inside the car. So, just going to see if I can nip her up now, and we'll get on the tie rod things. Okay, that's it. So, I suppose I should get a tape measure and make sure this rack is centered. And then get around to putting tie rod ends on. Let's get from here, shall we? 60. 360. Right, that makes sense to me. Might not work, but we'll give it a go. Right, get our this camera. Yep, we're going to give it the hit it with a slap it with a just yep. Maturity level 7. Not sure if you can hear that. There's a storm brewing. It's wet season in the territory. Not too sure what's going on here. I centered the rack before I went to put the tie rods on. Measured from this bump on either side. Went to put the tie rods in. Wouldn't let me adjust the driver's side in far enough for it to reach to make the wheel straight. So I've now moved it so the wheels are both the same and move the same, but it's 10mm further of spline over that side than there is on this side. So shank doesn't want to go down into the hole that good, so I don't want to force it. So that's what I mean about the tie rod. Just not really wanting to sit down any more than that. Thread's not going through the nide lock, so that's not exactly safe. So I will do more research on that, but it will work well enough to get us under the carport. Same on that side. You can't really tell because of the sun, but other than that, the steering rack is bolted in. Power steering lines are on properly. Steering shaft is connected properly, so those things we won't have to readdress. It'll just be the tie rod ends. We'll readdress them when we go to the VT brake upgrade. Alright, we'll try and stick these old brakes back on. Oh, no we won't, there's no pads. we will do something to stop them from us having no brakes at all. So I might even disconnect these brakes altogether and just put a bolt or weld a hole up in the line or something or other, just so they don't leak fluid out. So we can just put some fluid in and pump the brakes up and hopefully get some rear brakes. The transmission is deciding to leak when it's jacked up, so I think we might have a sump issue there. There's a little bit of oil over the back of the motor, but I feel like that's power steering when the power steering lines were off and the car was run. So we'll address those two things as well later on. But I'll get out from under here and have a look at this brake situation. It's going to rain very shortly, so it'll be fairly quick. Don't do this at home and all that other jazz. This is just a fix to get it under the carport. Say a fix, I don't know if it's actually going to work. See what it does. Looks like it may work, so we'll just shove that out of the way for now. Hopefully it'll work. I'll go to the same to the other side. Alright, so just put the other brake caliper back on. That one seemed fine, so one's got it without, one has it. We can throw these wheels back on and then see how we go. It's about to start raining. kicking in. Don't know if you can see it. Right. Top of the auto trans. Top of the power steering. Dogs are in the car. Sorry for all the VL lovers. They're not damaging anything. They're just scared of the storm. You can see Ruby's looking at me over the seat. I'll wash my hands. No, first I'll degrease the oil I just spilt, and I'll wash my hands. I'll grab the steering wheel. We'll install the steering wheel, and yeah, we'll go from there and see if we can get this thing to drive. The brakes still aren't working. I just tried to pump some fluid in there and just manually just pump it up, but I'd say she's all pretty buggered. I don't really want to spend the time on it when I'm going to tear it all apart and replace it. So handbrake jar scrabs the car, so we just use a handbrake. Center console moves because the handbrake has to lift too fast, so I'll have to retension that at a later date as well. But I'll wash up, degrease, see inside the car to put the steering wheel on. Alright, so the rain's going away. Got some parts here. Got a boss kit. Got a steering wheel. So we'll have a look at getting these on. Hopefully I got the right ones. Alright. Don't do this at home, kids. Yeah, she's not going nowhere. Let's have a look at the steering wheel, shall we? There we go. Wood grain with rivets, bit of chrome. Not quite there. Feels right. Done. Whoa. There you go. She's on a bit of an angle because the wheel's currently pointing that way. So we'll might set it up and see if I can steer this thing forward and backwards. It doesn't have much brakes. So we'll see how that goes. Falls up first time. Power steering's still not happy. She does have fluid in it. She'll have a bit of air in there, so we'll work that out later on. But I'll put you back on the tripod and see if we can move forward and drive a little bit. Try that again. What it's done is that 10mm difference I had in tie rods as I've lowered the car, one wheel's come out, so I had it wrong. Don't measure things laying on your back. So I'm just going to quickly knock that out and change it around and try and drive again. Sometimes you can't always win. This wheel, sitting yay, this one. I'll chalk this up as a loss. I might quickly jack it up and try again, but obviously measuring on to make sure they're even doesn't mean jack. I might need to ask a question on the internet somewhere and see if someone can just give me the measurements of where their tie rod ends are, how much thread's either side, and go from there. It's the hardest part of not having it all together when you start with the car. Usually you just match it up how it was, but joys of buying junk cars, I suppose. We'll have another play and I'll see how I go. Alright, if we haven't lost too much trans fluid, it should possibly not drag the front tyres now. I adjusted both of them. I've got it pretty straight eye on from the front of the car. Trans has lost a bit of fluid. It doesn't like being up on an angle. There must be a line or a breather or something going on there, so that's the next job on the list for the next video. We'll see if she's got enough just to drive and find out, I suppose. I call that a semi-win. It now steers, doesn't brake, there's no brakes. If you pull the handbrake all the way up, it just grabs, but it then moves the center console back, so you can't put it back in park. But a few more things to add to the list to do, but you know, one step forward, 2, 3 steps back, I suppose. Added a couple of jobs to the list, but yeah. Sorry for no video the last couple of weeks. Had my son's birthday, and then I sliced my foot open, had to get some stitches, so you know, don't wear thongs while moving furniture. Doesn't work too well sometimes. But yeah, I'll get back on top of it. Thanks for watching. Sorry it wasn't the best video this week. Just wanted to get something out to you, and join me next week for brakes and trans, I suppose. We'll get onto that, because as you can see, there's a bit of fluid on the ground. That's from the trans when you jack it up, so I'll have to make sure there's not something unplugged, but it doesn't leak when it's just sitting there idling. It's only when you raise it, it leaks out, so I'll get onto that. Alright, cheers.